All right, welcome everyone. Let's rise for the pledge. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. All right, I will call the meeting to order. Are there any changes to the agenda, Jeff?
We had the last late adjustment, item 5B, under natural resource management, but I think that's in your book already. That got in, when did that go in, Corey? Monday? Yeah, it just went in Monday. So 5B,
Okay.
SRF quote for
Yep, and
phase
that's
one.
listed
Yep,
on
it
the
is
agenda.
listed.
Okay. Okay, thank you. Agenda approval?
I'll make a motion to approve the amended agenda.
Okay, Ted moves.
I'll
And
second.
And actually, Ted, it doesn't need to be amended because it's already on there. You want to change your motion just to,
I'll just approve, or, yeah.
okay. All right, and Steve,
I'll
second?
second.
All right, further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye, opposed, motion carries. Public input? There is none. Does anybody want anything removed from the consent agenda or have questions? Otherwise, I'll entertain a motion for approval.
I'll make a motion to approve.
Okay, Steve moves.
I'll second.
10 seconds. Further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Are you gonna, Denise is gonna do? All right. Come on up for
I am the first,
county employee recognition.
certainly.
I panicked for a moment thinking I should have gone over the names better.
Well, my panic was yesterday because Mike came in and he says, "Can you do me a favor?" So, good morning, Commissioners. Before you today, we have county employee recognition in the Auditor Treasurer's Office. Lynn Pikanen, who is with us today. Election support began the temporary position on September 30th, 2024.
Welcome.
And in Highway, Adam Gruis, Assistant Highway Engineer, began the full-time position on September 22nd, 2024.
Welcome, Adam. You've made Andrea smile.
And also in Highway, Derek Rice, Engineering Technician 3, began the full-time position on September 23rd, 2024. In Human Services, Kimberly Mayers, Case Aide, began the full-time position on September 30th, 2024. And Victoria Lucier, Case Aide, is recognized for service from December 13th, 2021 to October 11, 2024. In Parks and Recreation, we have Roger Hensel, Parks and Recreation Worker, is recognized for service from April 1, 2024 to September 27, 2024. Robert Walsh, Parks and Recreation Worker, is recognized for service from April 15, 2024 to October 11, 2024. And Property Records, Lauren Anderson, Assistant Property Records Director, is recognized for 10 years of service on September 22nd, 2024.
Welcome, Lauren. Thank you.
And in the Sheriff's Office, we have Nicholas Owens, Dispatcher Jailer, began the part-time position on September 18, 2024.
All right, thanks, Denise. All right, Corey, you're up.
Good morning. That screen's not working, but what's the land? The first agenda item is for a fall land auction, to review and approve the auction date, sale terms, appraised values for 33 tracts of county tax forfeited land. So we plan on having the auction it's actually November 4th, 2024 at 1:00 p.m. at the Hubbard County Boardroom. 33 parcels have been appraised at a total of $2,144,667.60. Of the 33 parcels, 20 were forfeited within the settlement dates, 2016 to 2023, and will be regulated according to new statute. the other 13 parcels will follow the normal 282 procedures. Unsold tracts will be offered over the counter after the auction is complete. Properties which were forfeited prior to 2016 were assessed with the help from the county assessor's office. And conveyed property requests will be brought to the October 15th board meeting. So 5 of these parcels were already offered at auction, so we actually lowered them to the minimum bid as statute states for the second round or second offering. Akeley decided they are not interested in their 2 parcels that we would have conveyed to them, so those are backlisted on our list. 7 parcels offered to the city of Park Rapids. I guess I haven't heard anything from the city yet, but I've heard rumors that they're still interested in at least a couple. They have till October 5th to pay estimated market value if they are still interested for development. So, yeah, we have 33 parcels, 20 within the settlement date, 5 that are listed at the minimum bid due to second offering. There's some that are actually listed for future conveyance. So, yeah, it'll be a pretty big auction otherwise. So we're just looking for approval for the assessed values and the terms and the sale date.
There's 3 parcels up in the north that have planted pine on them. What species are those and how old are they?
They're red pine, about 11 years old.
Why would those are the only 3 that I have a problem of selling. All the rest I'm okay, but those 3 I kind of have a problem with.
Because of the trees on them? and the
Desired
age?
species of trees that are on them planted, took money to develop them like that, and they're 11 years old. They're probably within 7-8 years of a first inning.
Yep.
Those 3 I question.
Would you like those removed?
That's my preference, yeah.
Those are the 3 that we asked to add for.
I think the last
economic
3 that you
development.
had, the south side of the highway there. And they are still in DNR review, so I'm hoping I hear back from them before the October 15th board meeting. But I know there's a snowmobile trail going across one, but we can hopefully work that out if we do decide to move on with them.
Tom, could you give us it's numbered 1 through, can you give us which numbers they are?
Number 4, 5, and 6.
Okay, so 41.3 to 41.17 and 80 for the acreage,
Correct.
okay?
Yep, those were the last 3 at the last board meeting that we added on.
And we can pull those, but if we do, we're gonna withdraw our application to deed, our RFP response for that commercial development, because.
Okay, so this is a formality that we
No.
have to go through?
No. At Heartland Lakes Development, Mary talked about responding to a
Yes.
RFP for industrial development.
Yep.
These are the acres we want to make available for that.
But there are other acres up there. I think it's 7, 8, and 9. Yeah, I think all 3 of those are up there and available.
Are they also available? Rail was important, I believe, wasn't it, for part of the development?
Yes.
In fact, those are
7, 8,
closer-
and 9,
those
are they closer to the rail? Okay.
These 3 I'm talking about are even further north.
Which, you don't have a map of these, do you?
No, but if you have the interactive map to pull up. I believe these ones are the ones that are southwest of Ferris Park. And there's one right to the west of Ferris Park.
Which numbers were it, Commissioner, that you wanted to withhold? 4, 5, and 6?
4, 5, and 6.
These were proposed for housing development.
So they'd be north of?
They're north of Highway 2. This one abuts
Oh.
Beltrami County.
Oh, is this by Grace Lake?
Yeah,
No,
those are the north ones.
it's between Grace and Wolf, but along that already developed highway.
So Tom, my question for you would be, getting these back on the tax rolls for development versus the income that we would get off from the trees, how would that compare?
Well, I'm sure you'd make more if you sold them, no doubt, but you also got to consider timber supply to the local industries, and there is long-term benefit of these. Yeah, there's no doubt you'll make more money by selling these and developing it, no doubt about it. It's probably be that way with all of the county's land,
Yep.
all of it.
I would agree to kind of pull them if it was within 2 or 3 years, but 7, it's likely, there's a good chance we might get this sold.
Well, let me put this another way. Are these 3 for housing and then the other 3 for industry?
Yes. 4, 5, and
Okay.
6 are intended for housing development, and the other ones are intended for industrial.
Well, to me, that's more compatible because a lot of trees will still be left. I mean, and then what,
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
because for industry, they'll probably clear cut the whole thing.
Right.
That makes it a little different.
And we haven't determined, you will determine once, once you approve the request to withhold these. You haven't done that yet, you're just putting them for sale, but here's my comment. We'll be putting in a request to withhold these for development. These 4 for housing development, and then the other 4 for industrial development. We haven't determined how we're going to build them out, so if we have them, they're still available until they're used. And the intention would be to make the ones available along this 307th Avenue available for development and not the back ones yet, then we don't have to build roads. Unless we sell these 40s directly to developers who want to plat and build roads and build out the whole section, which is an option that will be discussed and brought forward in 2 weeks at the HRA EDA meeting. So these are on the list with the intent that we're gonna ask the HRA and the EDA to withhold them. And the other ones up north too.
Are they used for hunting very much?
Yeah, the only
Yeah.
the issue I've heard from the state is that one of the parcels is used to access state land, which they're concerned, and then there's a snowmobile trail going across one of the parcels, so,
This is the DNR lot, just to the north and the east of, or just to the east of theirs. There's no reason that we can't work around an easement to get them and work with the trails. As a matter of fact, people that would want to build a house there would want to have access to those things.
and it is state land, so they've talked about us conveying it to them, which would kind of ruin the point of conveyance, but, yeah, hopefully we can work things out.
And since this is in my district, I guess I'll kind of weigh in. I know I've had some people comment about the time and effort and money that was put into making them into plantations and stuff like that. And as you discussed about these parcels wouldn't be looked at for the industrial stuff that HLDC is looking at. I could agree with Tom with the idea that we research this a little bit more and perhaps put them up, at the next land auction type of a deal.
If you want to withhold them from the sale at this point in time and bring it up the next time after you've had conversations about how they could be developed, that would make perfect sense.
Yeah.
Our thought was, these are the easiest because they're on an established road. If you look at that road from Highway 2 going north, it's house, 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 80 acres of timber, and then you get to the Beltrami line, and it's house, 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 house. It makes sense.
Yeah.
Now, we don't have a development plan, we have a plan to develop. So your comments are appropriate. The Fardin Township folks are looking for tax capacity.
Yeah, yeah.
So that's why this was brought forward in
And
the
you-
way that it was, because
Yeah.
we were looking, if you've driven that road, I don't know, what's 40 acres? I don't know how far that is.
Quarter of a mile.
Yep.
It's a quarter of a mile.
1,320 feet.
So you drive a half mile past houses, a half mile with nothing, and then you get to the stop sign, you get to Beltrami, and then
Yeah.
houses again. It makes sense for a plan for houses to be developed there. I recognize that that it was recently planted. If that's an objection, then we should strike them from the list.
And I would like to have a spring auction too, so if there's something we wanna,
And the timing of that is perfectly fine.
we could always take off them 3 north of Highway 2 now and just keep the 3 on south of Highway 2 too, so.
And then to make things, to make us think a little bit more, maybe we keep one of the parcels on there, see what happens with the one parcel. But like I say, I'm kind of open to a lot of things here.
One at a time, you're
Yeah.
suggesting.
Yeah, something like that,
That might work, because you could take the one with the least value timber on it.
something like that,
First.
yeah.
If you would take them one at a time, I would suggest one west of that road, because the one to the southeast is
That's the
is a
most
significant
value
amount of wetlands,
Okay, that's what I was just gonna say, yep.
and the one to the
So number
northeast.
6 then?
Yeah.
Are you talking about number 6, Jeff?
Number,
01080?
I think the one he's talking about is.
01021 would be the one.
Okay, so number 5.
That's the most value of timber, though, by 3 to 1.
The northeast parcel is the one with the snowmobile trail, so I think, or the northwest.
So I don't have a map in front of me. What number is that one?
Yeah, I don't,
Oh, you don't know
I
either?
don't have a
Okay.
map.
It's number 4.
Number 4?
It's
Okay.
number 4.
The northwest.
Number 4 is the northeast.
11, so it'd be this, so, okay.
Number 5 is the northwest. And number 6 is the
Okay, that's the.
southern half, is the 80.
And we could almost do that southern half one if,
That's what I'm thinking.
yep, the 80.
And the reason why there's less
No.
timber on that is
It
because
does,
is
yep.
a third of the one parcel is wetland.
Yeah.
And we could see how the 80 goes and, take 4 and 5 off.
I'd support that, because I mean, if you get 1080 to go,
Mm-hmm.
and it goes fast, that'll change your mind on when, you know, if the other ones are gonna happen fast or not.
Yeah.
If it goes slow, you're buying time that
Yeah.
you might get that timber off at some point.
And we're still doing something.
Jeff, if we did number 6 only, could we still apply for the deed?
The deed was relative to the industrial, not to the housing.
Thank you.
I'm
Okay,
sorry to
okay.
have confused that.
Good discussion. Thanks for bringing this up, Tom. I appreciate that. What would the board like to do?
Make the motion, or do you wanna, pull those two would be 4 and 5?
On those top two.
4 and 5.
That would be 4 and 5.
Okay, so pull 4 and 5 and keep 6 on.
Yes,
Is that a motion?
that would be my motion.
I'll second.
Okay, okay, so Tom and Dave, is there further discussion? Okay, all in favor? Aye. Opposed, motion carries. And then, at the next board meeting, you can give us an update on the city.
Okay.
Yeah, okay. Okay,
Yeah, thank you, and I'm trying to move this as quick along as I can, so, yeah, there's a lot of steps to the land sale process.
What time did you say the land sale was? I was gonna call.
1 o'clock on
1
November
o'clock.
4th.
Okay, thank you.
The agenda, I must accidentally put November 1st, but it's, November 4th, and then the resolution also states November 4th, so.
Say 1
11 o'clock here in the boardroom.
Right, oh, okay.
Yep. And it's, the last sale, I think we had about 20 parcels probably, and it took a couple hours, so it'll be a good timely event.
And I hope to make that one this time.
It's interesting.
Last time, I believe it was last time, more people came just to see if
Yeah.
anybody was going.
I think a lot of neighbors came to see if the land next to them sold.
Not many with a checkbook, huh?
No, not many.
Coming
But-
to see you do your first auction, right, as an auctioneer.
I can't roll my tongue that good. Kind of tough. Are we ready for the next one?
Yep.
Okay. Next item is to review and approve a quote from SRF Consulting for a Phase 1 construction area archeology field study. This is the final step prior to grant funding, allowing the start of demolition and construction at Deep Lake Park. We applied, one of the last board meetings, I came to get a resolution to apply for a grant to cover this archaeology cost, and sadly, it wasn't covered. It wasn't chosen as a candidate for 2024, so we tried, but we did budget for this in our budget. So we did kind of expect that we would have to pay for it at some point. The construction phase 1 area includes areas of building removal as well as proposed access road construction. It totals about 5.1 acres, and 0.6 acres have been assessed as possessing moderate to high potential to contain intact archaeology resources. And the state of Minnesota does require archaeology field work to be done prior to grants.
Corey, how did they determine that 0.68 acres have a high potential?
So they did, it was this spring, they went out and they did a pre-study. And they saw things that may look like there might be potential out there, and they look at elevation and a bunch of different factors. So we did that. Yeah, it was this spring, and they came up with that map. I don't know if you guys saw the map.
Yeah, I did look at the map.
So yeah, the phase 1 the phase 1 what's included in the phase 1 is the road work, the pavilion, some main trails, as you can see in that map. Then demolition and maintenance shed renovation. So if we do this, they can hopefully get to work this fall, and we can get it done and get that grant as soon as possible.
So then I had a question on the cost. It's on page 7.
Mm-hmm.
The $66,010 and the $98,730. So if we approve this, it's for the 32,000,
Yep.
and then you would have to, or the total is 98,000, but then you'd have to come back for the 66,000.
Yeah, yep. And that's for development of the rest of the park.
Yep. Okay.
Yep, so it'd be this, 32,000 this year.
And we would do that now, except we're not gonna do that development until we have that funding.
Yeah.
And there will be an opportunity to apply for assistance with that study work, so
Mm-hmm.
we wouldn't wanna pay for that when
Right.
we don't need it now, and there's a chance we'll get park funding to do that.
Thank you.
Yeah, it's a lot of money put into this, but I think if you do the right thing with archaeology, I think it's better off for the future. I know you don't want to mess with archaeology stuff nowadays.
So if they find something,
Mhm.
would that delay?
No, so this is mostly just to where we can develop in the future. So if we'd have to put buffers around certain things, or
Okay.
be
I'm
delicate.
assuming They might, like a burial ground or something like that.
Yep.
Just throwing something out there.
Mhm.
If they found something like that, then in a sense, it would delay because then they would probably want to do further research.
Yeah, they might, yep.
And like
Yep.
you say, maybe they would corridor that off and we
Yeah.
could still develop the rest or whatever, but
Yep.
just thinking about a
The-
worst-case scenario.
The,
So going along with that, say they found a burial that has actual caskets in it, would the county, if the family so desired them moved, would the county have to pay to have those moved?
so I've talked to there is an old, family burial site there, yeah, and that's not the issue here.
Yeah, but what if it was the issue here?
Yep, yep, yeah, and, I guess it'd probably be up to the family, and I've talked to the family, and, I know a lot about the burials out there, and, they seem like they're fine with it as long as we put a fence or something around it, yep.
And it's highly unlikely in the phase one, in the development area, we're only dealing with things that have already been developed.
Okay.
I mean, we're knocking down the buildings that are already there, and we're putting in a road that's going to follow the road that's existing to the greatest possible extent. So, it's highly unlikely that we're gonna find something that's gonna need us to move the road.
SRF also stated that where the current buildings are, there's no archaeology issues there, so that's a good thing we can, with demolition, so. Mhm.
Oh, there's not anything where we're gonna put well, so you said the red is where the issue?
Yeah,
Potential
yep.
places? Oh, okay. So where the RV park is gonna be, there's nothing.
Nope, nope. Yeah, where the trailhead building will be, there's no issues there. It's mostly, yeah, as you come in and it's to that right area, or, yeah.
And basically,
Right before you
are
hit
they
that
looking-
field.
Is
What?
it basically burial grounds that,
They didn't say what it was, but,
Not,
Yeah.
not necessarily.
no.
Just,
It could be spearheads, it
it
could be
it just
arrowheads.
could be any development.
An old campsite or something.
Yeah,
okay,
And that's why with this is all identified. This is all identified based on elevation. And they're basing that not based on the fact that they're burial grounds, but that there would be artifacts. There could be artifacts in those areas adjacent to water in situations like that, I think is the primary
yep.
thing to be checking for. I think it's more artifact than burial.
okay.
Yep,
Thank you.
yep. We do the same thing with timber sales. We look at this, it's called the OSA website that we look at. It's for archaeology, Minnesota archaeology. And if there's a dot on our timber sale, we have to get a hold of them and say, what's this? Can you come out and do a field check? And most time it's old pottery or arrowheads or spearheads.
I'll make a motion to approve.
All right.
I'll second.
Okay, so Ted and Dave, is there any further discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, motion carries.
All right, thank you. We'll get working on this right away. So,
Corey?
have a good day. Thank you.
Yeah. Josh?
Good morning. All right, so I have one agenda item this morning. It's to approve a resolution authorizing myself to sign for a MPCA grant agreement. So just a little bit of history. So I've been applying for several grants this summer from the MPCA, and we had an opportunity to apply for one earlier this summer. It was a sustainable building materials grant. So I put in an application to spend money to rehab and upgrade our reuse building, the old transfer station building in Park Rapids. And we were fortunate to get funding authorized for that project. So with that project, the grant that I applied for was $658,000 with a $132,000 match. So this would be to replace, kind of keep the shell in place, but upgrade the entire old transfer station building, give it a facelift, hook it up to city water and sewer that we have on site, so we can get rid of our old infrastructure there, and then to kind of regrade our entire area from the recycling building all the way up to that transfer station building. And also expand our reuse where we can have a separate intake and outtake areas for reuse and help to promote that, continue to promote that in the future. Another component to this grant was to do deconstruction training about trying to, when people are deconstructing or tearing down buildings, how they can, divert more of that to reuse versus landfills. So this grant had, like I mentioned, was a $658,000 grant, which would cover the construction costs that we had our consulting firm prepare. Our match would be 25%, so it'd be $164,500. The match, some of that would be in kind. We can use in-kind matches or in-kind for our staffing costs, our existing staffing costs that we have with operating our reuse center. And then the rest would be kind of looking at the design and engineering costs that we would foresee with this project. So this year I do have some money in the 2025 budget for design and engineering on our different projects. And then I would budget in 2026 kind of for the remainder of the project, because the time frame from this, I'm sure we'll have to meet with the construction company, project managers, engineers, so it'll get drug out probably into the next 2026 budget cycle. So, but and all these grants have been helpful because as we look for our 9-county project, this has kind of been in our vision and our plan for our overall 9-county capital funding project. And we've been able now to get 2 grants. We're able to kind of chip away at that overall dollar amount and upgrade our facilities at, set with 75% state money coming forward. So,
I have a question about, you mentioned deconstruction. Do you have kind of a proposal for trying to get, I guess, the word out about deconstruction to residents, or?
So I think how I laid it out in this grant, there are some different areas across the state that have done this already. So it'd just be us putting on a class. So, whether it's through community ed, or the existing networks we have to get that word out, but, it would be.
I didn't know if you were gonna propose putting something like an online training for individuals to go on the county solid waste website and look at it, like a YouTube video or something like that.
That could be something we might develop, and part of this as well, we tried to tie our 9-county components into these grants as much as possible. So for this deconstruction training, we'll develop it and then either offer it or help, do that training across our other 9 counties too.
Okay.
So.
All right, thank you.
So I just, this grant came out just, found we got awarded late, I think it was not this last week, but late the week before, so, just put the resolution in here to update you guys on that, and then, the resolution's just to authorize me to sign the grant agreements, so.
I'll make the motion to approve.
All right, Steve moves.
I'll second.
Ed will second. Josh, I just want to thank you. You're very good at seeking out grants. And we've been awarded a lot, so thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Is there any other further discussion? All in favor?
I,
Opposed, motion carries.
All right, thank you for that, and then, just, late last week, I was contacted by the, Senate Capital Investment Committee Chair, and they're gonna plan on meeting with us, our 9-county region, about our project here in the next month of October. So I'm working at finalizing some dates, and I'll share that with the entire board, and it would be good. I know some of you already kind of got a little bit of info on that, but good to have involvement from as many officials, administrators, staff, solid waste staff in our 9-county region to kind of help show the need for that project. So, but I'll be sending you guys some info on that coming up. But it was promising that they reached out to us, and hopefully bodes well for our project in the future. So,
Josh, what you presented at the managers meeting was really informational as far as the recycling and compared to other counties. I didn't ask you ahead of time, so you don't have to share today, but do you want to just bring that report to the board at our next board meeting?
Yeah, and I can't remember exactly what it was. Was it about the reuse numbers?
Yeah,
or-
the reuse
Yep,
numbers.
Yep, I can do that, so.
Okay,
Yeah,
because the board would find
the
that
tonnage
interesting.
is, yeah,
It's
it's
pretty
quite,
amazing.
it opens your eyes, yeah,
Yeah.
it really does.
All right, sounds
you.
good, thank you.
Okay.
Good morning, Commissioners.
Morning.
I'm here to request approval for the MCCC contract with Tryman. The years run 2025 through 2027, and that needs board ratification.
So I have a question, Kay. This didn't meet the deadline, so did you let them know that we were planning, you still wanted to be interested?
I have not communicated with them, however, I'm sure that they are aware that we are continuing to be interested as we continue to pay our bills.
Okay, thank you.
Because the last sentence is failure to respond
I
on
know.
deadline.
Yeah. Is assuming.
Yeah,
I'm confident that we'll be okay.
okay.
Board wishes?
I'll make a motion to approve.
Okay, Ted moves,
I'll second.
Almost second. Is there further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
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 Opposed, motion carries.
Thank you.
Thank you, Kay. Jeff?
Thank you, Madam Chair, Commissioners. This item is, has been brought forward as a big item and something for discussion, and it's going to be on the AMC district meeting discussion on the 16th. But I put it on here because it ends up being de minimis. I think our increase is $2,000 for the year on our AMC dues. So if you want to wait until you have an opportunity to have a conversation at the district meeting and put this off, that's fine. But at a meeting with the chairs and administrators and AMC staff yesterday, the consensus was everybody was perfectly fine with the dues increase. And if we get it in earlier, then we can make our budget reflective of the actual numbers. So I throw that out there for your conversation, and Commissioner Christensen, you were part of that conversation. Maybe you have some comments?
Well, this was talked about, Julie brought this up when we were at the AMC at Arrowwood. And what the AMC staff is currently getting, it doesn't even meet what the lowest figure is for the city and this League of Cities, and what was the other one? Do you remember?
League of Minnesota Cities and, I'm not sure, I think,
Yeah, anyway, there was two organizations, and so I asked Julie after the presentation, you know, if they were gonna try and get all the way to the top, and she said no, and we talked about this yesterday, it's gonna be in a two-phase. $2,000 is, I mean, they have an excellent staff there, we wanna keep them. So I'm proposing that we would just go ahead and approve it today.
I'll second that.
Okay,
Yeah, as I recall, reading some emails about this too, and we're seeing this everywhere.
yes.
If you want to keep good staff, we're going to have to pay for them.
Plus, it takes a long time to retrain what these people are doing. It's gonna cost way more than that for a county.
Does this come out of the commissioner's budget? Or do-
I think it's a line item in the commissioner budget.
Yeah, and then there's already greater than 16,000 in there unless you got other things for it.
There are other elements. I don't even know I don't even know if this would require an adjustment to a budget line, but you're correct.
That's what I'm wondering if it does.
Yep. If it's lumped in with other expenses, for professional fees and dues, we probably don't even have to adjust it.
I think there's like 18,000 or something like that, if I'm correct.
All right, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed, motion carries.
Okay, so we have the AMC annual conference is over the first Tuesday of December.
Yep.
So, in past years when that's happened, we've canceled the work session and we've had a regular meeting on the second and the third Tuesday of December. And that's the proposal, to modify the calendar of scheduled events for December this year.
Yeah. Well, actually, the first Tuesday is December 3rd, so we're just cutting out the work session.
Oh, we're just canceling the work session, okay.
I
Are you
looked at-
fine with that?
Yeah, I looked at that too. We could squeeze it in on, if we need a work session or something, probably do it the first Tuesday, because the third Tuesday, we'd still have the HRA, EDA stuff, and that seems to be a full day as it is.
And if we have work session items, we can discuss them during a regular meeting anyway.
Yeah.
So just, I think the cleanest is to cancel the work session on the 10th.
I
So
agree.
we can notify that.
Is that your motion, Ted?
Sure.
Okay, is there a second?
I'll second.
Dave will second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed, motion carries. Anything else, Jeff?
Very briefly, you are all asked to sign into UKG and click through the acknowledgements,
Okay.
so that payroll can process a couple of projects they're working on. And if you have questions about that, please see myself or probably Jane after the meeting.
Okay,
I am at the Association of County Administrators meeting Wednesday, Thursday, Friday this week. And then I would just identify that we've reset the proposed levy to get us to a 5.9 number, and we have about $120,000 of work yet to get to that point, but just reset that to 0 instead of the 7%. And we've made about half of the progress in the last week and a half, and we'll have the rest for you before you see another copy of that. And as soon as we get to that point, I'll print another copy of the full budget so that you can all see it. But right now, there's a lot of things moving. I would imagine by our next meeting, you'll have a full copy again.
I have one thing too. I think we all received the email from the Hubbard County Hazard Mitigation Planning Team. Is anybody going to that? Otherwise, I can attend. It's Tuesday, October 22nd, but if one of you are going to attend, I would not register to attend. Okay? Okay. Then committee reports?
And that was going back to that hazardous, that was a Zoom meeting or?
Yeah, and it's the second planning meeting. That's why if someone attended the first planning meeting, I would prefer that you would go. I had a conflict that day. They had the first meeting, and so I'm just kind of coming in.
Yeah, and I didn't attend the first
You
one.
didn't either?
October 22nd?
Yeah.
Yeah, I've got a meeting and an appointment.
Okay.
I can't
Is that
go.
something you're interested in attending, Ted? Because you certainly can.
I could do that, yeah, because as of today, I have nothing on the 22nd, but,
I'm going to forward the email to you, and then it has the link to register.
okay, thank you.
Yep. Okay, thanks. Okay, does anyone have committee reports? Okay,
Update you on the last Heritage meeting for our August results. The CMS overall star, health inspection, and quality measurement staffing all remained at 4. We had 6 hires, 6 terminations, still have 5 open FTEs. Again, no agency contracts. Current census, we're at 20 of 26 in Heritage Manor, but there are 3 or 4 reservations on tap to come in, so that's going up. And Heritage Cottages, the current census is at 17 out of 18. Heritage Living Center census is 38, and the average census for the month, it was the highest of the year so far, so that was good. Regarding EBITDA, Heritage Manor had a positive 39,149, the cottages a positive 18,270. Heritage Living Center a positive 52,271 for a combined of 97,613. And net income for the month combined, all 3 entities, was $350 positive. So we're still 357,218 in the good on the year. And the EBITDA cash flow is still 1.380 $1,380,120 for the year, so. Again, pretty positive, and again, unfortunately, because we've done pretty good on expenses this year, our rates will be going down next year. So we looked at the budget, made some adjustments to the budget, and that looked more favorable, but probably gonna be coming forward asking for the maximum ECPN, because then we only have to pay a portion of that, and that'll help with those rate decreases. And the rates are decreasing by greater than the ECPN amount we'd be asking for, so should have very little effect on private pay, if any. I think they'll still see a drop. So hopefully we'll be able to hit our cash flow numbers again next year. Positive direction. And then another item I had was, Mary Thompson asked me to attend the Park Rapids Chamber of Commerce Awards dinner the other night on behalf of Heartland Lakes Development Commission, and Heartland Lakes Development Commission won the Heartland Lakes Community Project of the Year Award for the Pinecrest Apartments, and recognized for their vital role in addressing the area's housing crisis. The project led by Heartland Lakes Development Commission provides a valuable blueprint for how nonprofit, private, and public entities can work together to confront community needs and achieve goals. So Derek did a real nice job recognizing, the county, the city, the school district, the banks, financial institution, local businesses, and the nonprofits that all came together to make that project happen. So it was nice that got some recognition. So good job, everybody, all the way around. And that's it.
Okay.
Let's see, I'll start off with the timber management plan. Tom and I attended that last week. We were on section 4, which is mostly about timber management. And we'd also talked about forestry roads and stuff, and deer stands, and we kind of shifted because conservation officer, Nick, I believe his first name was, and then there was a sheriff's deputy there. So they had to leave, so we kind of detoured and talked about some of those issues, such as what's a portable deer stand. I made the comment that I hunt on private land, but I could use my skid loader to move my big tree stand, so what is technically portable? And so they asked about, addressing those kinds of issues. It was well attended and real good participation from, I know some of them were loggers. I know one of the gentlemen that was there from a snowmobile club. So it was a really good, long, I think, was it like a 3-hour meeting? But it was a good meeting to attend. I don't know if you have anything to add.
Well, yeah, I do have it on my list. Being a forester, I kind of zeroed in on that part of it. But yeah, a couple things that Corey has been planning on changing, which I fully support, and that is a conversion of approximately 10% of the current 72,000 acres of aspen forest cover to more longer-lived species like pine, red pine. So that'll be good. And then, like I've talked with a number of foresters, and they'd like, not foresters, but loggers, and they were talking about the current rotation age for aspen. They've been harvesting up to around 70 to 90 years, but now Corey wants to get it down to 50 to 60 years, which is about where the maturity level. They reach their maturity at that level, and then they start to die off. So that's a good thing. So that's all I got to add for.
I was kind of surprised at some of we went through them like different species, aspens and red pines and oaks and stuff like that. I was surprised, like with the birch and some of the other ones, where we've got a lot of stuff that's old, as far as number of acres, and then very small acres of the younger stuff than that. But there's always the question: is there a market for this stuff? And so, like I say, it was a well-attended meeting and really informative. Another one I had was Mississippi Headwaters, One Watershed, One Plan. Just one of our, we try to meet 2 or 3 times a year. Went over, of course, the dollars that were being spent, the milestones, looked at the 24-25 work plan budget, and each county, in which I enjoyed, they would show some of the work that they've done. And of course, a picture is like worth 1,000 words. So they would show before and after stuff, and that was, like I say, you could see the things that they did. Hubbard County, we had the pictures, but we didn't have anybody there from the SWCD or anything to kind of explain the stuff. But you could at least see the differences and stuff like that. So that was good. At one point, I was kind of disappointed because we had talked about going on a bus tour to look at some of this stuff, but we ended up not going on a bus tour, but we were in Bemidji, so we went over to BSU. There was a couple of projects that they had done over there under the urban part of the plan. And so it was interesting. One was a rain garden there. It's right on the main drag, Paul Bunyan Drive, by their ball fields and stuff like that. They talked about how in the past, they've got the blacktop driveway, then they had a concrete chute, I guess you want to call it, where the water would go then right into a drain. And then, from there towards Lake Bemidji type of a thing. And now it hits a rain garden first, so it helps disperse and collect some of the, I don't know what you want to call it, the bad stuff, sediment and stuff like that. So that was, like I say, it was informative, but I was kind of looking forward to going to other counties to see what they were doing. They talked about the no-till drill, and a lot of the stuff that's done in the northern part of the county is actually being worked with Clearwater County. But now stuff, when it gets down here in this end of the county, I'm sure the Crow Wing will be taking on that. I guess the no-till drill, a lot of farmers like it so much that they're buying one themselves. The one that the One Watershed plan has is only 11 feet, and that's also because it's easier to get it down the highways and stuff. But some of the farmers that are upgrading to a no-till drill are getting like 28 footers or whatever, and so it's good to see that these things are helping. We also looked at, there was in the budget for a street sweeper, but it ends up, the city of Bemidji had already gotten dollars to buy one, so then that money was put back into the plan. And so that was good too, that to have those dollars, I think it was like $125,000 put back into the plan, so I liked that. Let's see, I also had a Northwestern Minnesota Juvenile Center meeting. Were you there, Steve?
Mhm.
Okay, it was a couple of weeks ago.
Yeah, yes, it was.
Let's see, of course, like usual, we have talk to the Department of Corrections people, Mark Smith and Trish Hansen and stuff were there. They didn't have a whole lot to say. The judge, I don't remember the judge's name, but they spoke about how they're still doing the Zoom meetings, stuff like that, and how they seem to be wanting to stay with that. Of course, we go over the expenses and stuff like that. There was some discussion, because we've been hearing it from other counties too about our rate increases, but they all kind of understand that, everybody's raising prices in the state, and if you want to keep employees, we got to do that. We also had, after this meeting, we also had a meeting, Itasca County is interested in becoming part of the one of the members. We talked about how that could affect us if they left, which would be like a $1.5 million hit financially every year, so we don't want them to leave. But also, of course, if they become a member, then their rates go down. But we also talked about, it's kind of a different congressional district, and how we will be adding congresspeople in that that will actually probably help us in the future for lobbying, you know, if we need to get grants or, I know we've talked about building a mental health facility on the premises there, and if we were gonna do that in the future, we're definitely gonna need some state help. So we thought, it hasn't been finalized yet, it was kind of a first meeting. At this point, I'm leaning towards supporting it. Like I say, you'd hate to lose them. And with them coming in, I think we gain more. I think we get stronger too, as a organization, the more people you've got involved. I don't know if there's anything I missed.
Just, the only thing is if their buy-in makes sense for Northwest to open it up to be in, for them to be part of it, to offset the initial costs, and then they would actually, you know, they'll have a vote, of course, if they become a member county. And then just the parameters to see if it was agreeable with Itasca to want to participate in that way. Really, you know, where else are they gonna send them? That's the other thing I was questioning. You know, where else are they gonna send the kids?
We talked about Duluth, but
Duluth was another option, or it's the Twin Cities area, so. I think it's a good fit, myself, just because of their proximity and the support that they've given Northwest, so I think it would be a positive move for sure. And like the legislative aspect of it, more lobbying you can get in the legislature to help fund your operation and expansion of your operation, perhaps, I think is beneficial.
it was kind of interesting to find out that Hubbard County wasn't one of the original participants. But after they were in effect for a few years, then Hubbard County did come on board, so I always like to hear the history of some of this stuff. And let's see, I think I had one more. I had the Headwaters Regional Development Commission. And of course, where is my paperwork on that? We changed our meeting times, which was one of the first notable things. We used to always meet on the third Thursday at 7 o'clock at night, and some of these members, you know, come from northern Minnesota, farther north, and the meetings a lot of times run 9:30 easily. Then all of a sudden, you're asking people to drive back home, you know, that late at night after spending the whole day type of thing. And I know for me, it was kind of tough too, working all day, and then you go home and have a quick bite to eat and clean up and go back to town, and trying to stay awake was important. So we changed our meeting times to 5:30, so it was good. As maybe you folks know, Naomi Carlson, the executive director, had resigned her position. Kel Larson, the board chair, is the interim right now. We're looking at, of course, looking at hiring an executive director, and that process is starting, and we needed somebody in place. I think with Kel's experience on the board and in his own previous work, that he's doing fine. We talked about fair housing discussion for small cities. Discussion on small cities basically was Bagley, Baudette, and Bemidji, bringing forward the first generation DPA down payment assistant program services in the area, and expanding the opportunities, which also would include Hubbard County. Yeah, I talked about the HRDC audit, and that's something too where I know with other boards and stuff that I'm on, and we find it's hard to find somebody to audit. I know that the HRDC, I believe the number was up to 50 companies that we had contacted, and when we have found somebody, they're going through the audit. So we kind of got an update there. That's going to be done hopefully on time. Talked about neighborhood connections and community crime and prevention grant. We were awarded dollars for this project contingent on the HRDC providing a copy of the 2022 audit. So we did that. And that's, a lot of this had to do in the city of Bemidji though too. They've got a apartment complex there. The Conifers, yeah. It's on the west side of town. They were talking about, a lot of people that live in those apartments don't have transportation themselves. So they're looking at, actually having a, I'm trying to think of what they were calling it. Anyhow, there's gonna be transit available. They've got, currently they only have one staff person, but they're looking at a second. And then this would just help, I wanna say it was like 80-some% of the people didn't have transportation. You know, it's they're on the west side of Bemidji, so it's still, you know, quite a few blocks to get downtown. They're not too far from the mall area type of that, but, you know, if you're trying to work and stuff like that too, you gotta find transportation for these people. And I don't know, in Park Rapids here, I know we've got the Heartland Express and stuff like that, so, I've always thought that, I don't know though, would something like a Uber or a Lyft, would somebody be able to actually make that profitable in Hubbard County here, or in the rural areas?
They actually talked about that at MRC
Okay.
on Wednesday night, and was there anybody at MRC besides me? I don't remember. What was the name of the, was he a senator or representative? I don't remember his name, but he was actually working on that for the rural area, getting Ubers in.
Okay, okay.
Yeah, because he talked about that in his presentation.
I've used Uber, and they're pretty nice.
It was also a topic, discussion in the transportation
Okay.
council as well. They're actually forming a group. I wanted to volunteer for it, but I don't have the time that would be committed for it. And they're looking at rural transportation options.
Okay.
There's actually a group that's formed. They're gonna meet in October now, and then hopefully by, I believe it was January next year, they're hoping to have a rough plan in place and perhaps pilot projects ready to go out, so.
Okay.
Yep.
You're not far from 5 to 10 years from self-driving cars anyhow. I literally rode in one for 20 miles and never touched the steering wheel.
Oh, yeah?
On a country road with no paint markings, roundabouts, stop signs, stop lights, traffic, no problem. I was shocked. For 20 miles. Windy too.
I know years ago, my son was a test driver, and he talked about, with the lane recognition and all that, he said he could drive down the road and not, you know, hold onto the steering wheel and.
And some of the new ones don't even jerk or anything, they just go right around perfect, recognize traffic in the roundabout, handle it just fine.
However, you did say that you had to pay attention still, because you
It
couldn't
won't
just
let
read a
you not
book
pay
or something.
attention.
Okay.
Yeah.
If you don't pay attention, if it doesn't see your eyes on the road, it'll ding you, and after the third time, it'll defeat the self-driving, and you'll have to drive the rest of the day.
Oh, okay.
That's
So it
nice.
kinda-
Interesting.
Better than shocking you, I guess, so.
Well, right.
Have that built in.
They're actually starting to say that it'll be safer,
Yeah.
but we'll see. I was kind of a skeptic. Obviously, it probably wouldn't work in heavy rain and snow-covered roads and things like that, but
They're developing a new technology now where cars will communicate with each other. So if a car in front of you sees a pedestrian, it'll let your car know about it.
yeah.
I probably won't have any of those cars.
Jeff, do you remember yesterday, Neil, at our District 2 Zoom meeting, he talked about if, to get half the people on electric cars, they had to make how many batteries for, do you remember how many years it was?
I don't
It was like
remember.
28 years, they would have to, for the next 28 years, they would have to make batteries every single day for half the population to go to electric cars. It was pretty amazing.
Yeah. But that's all I got, but going back in the self-driving, I think about horseback riding. They always seem to know, and they take me for a ride a lot of times. So I've always thought that I like having vehicles whether it's ATVs or snowmobiles or cars or tractors or whatever, where I'm the one with the brain that's thinking about where to go, not the, so, you know, self-driving cars, I mean, I can see there's a use for them, but
It could dramatically change Uber and Lyft, because you can see in the metro areas where I mean, literally, the one fella I was talking to, it was pouring rain out, and he brought his phone out and had his Tesla come over and pick him up at the front door. So he wouldn't have to get so wet in the parking lot. People were just like, when the door opened, it was like, ooh, nobody in there. But they're doing it in the major metro areas, California and stuff. These cars are doing deliveries and things.
it's just, modern technology.
Yeah.
Thanks, Ted. Tom?
Yeah, I've had quite a few meetings. I don't know how many you want to hear from. We already talked about forest management. SWCD, just a couple things. They entered in an agreement with Bowser, East Otter Tail, SWCD, and local ag producer Paul Johansson to provide cost sharing to implement innovative irrigation practices. And to me, just an example of what that can do is, you say you got a big field and an irrigator is going around and you got a little bit of a wetland area, it'll cut off the nozzles for those wetland areas and just supply the water to the other parts of it. But it's you know, pretty good technology they're developing for that in order to cut down on the amount of water being used out of the ground. And then they've also entered into an agreement with a company called Ecom, and that is to perform a feasibility study of flood mitigation alternatives for Beltane Lake. The agreement is to only explore alternatives, and then, you know, what implementing is something that's going to have to be decided by a group of people later on, including residents. So they're slowly starting to get back into looking at that again. I'd say it was Kitagami Library Board. We had a presentation on the audit for them. Everything went well. We're accomplishing our goal of reducing the reserves. Over the past year, reserves are down by about 800,000. So we've been spending some of that reserve by capital improvements to all of the libraries, and then also a little bit of buy down from the ask for each county's budget. We did that again this year. It'll be reduced even more for next year, and I think next year will be the last time. So 2027 is when probably we'll be asking for the full amount. Then Parks Board, we've already, one of the things I had was talking about this archeology thing. In fact, in my notes, we should find out about it this week, but looks like we found out that that grant was not approved. They are getting damages to the docks over at Heartland Park, with people backing into them. So they might need to be doing some repairs there, asking for some money for that.
Backing, you mean like they're backing a boat in?
Yeah, backing boat trailers into the docks and getting damage on them. Don't know how to do that, but maybe some people need some training on backing up a trailer.
Self-driving.
Yeah, get a self-driving one. The survey is done for that Lake Benedict and Heartland Park land exchange. They should be conveying that pretty soon. Ambulance service is another one I had. I don't know if you wanted to cover more on that.
No,
but
you go ahead.
I highlighted a couple areas in Josh Stevenson's minutes for it. He said, well, we discussed that it was reported that there was no levy impact for the taxpayers of the city of Walker up until, up to currently, and they had been reporting that the ambulance service actually created revenue for the city of Walker because through rent payments on a building that the city owned. However, statewide, the ambulance services are providing a loss of $122 million in 2022. So North Memorial, like the number I just gave you, they're operating at a loss. Medicare and Medicaid recipients are the bulk payers of the service, and they're reporting that the reimbursement rates for Medicare and Medicaid are not what the ambulance services are needing. You know, if you, that's what I had highlighted.
Yeah, it really doesn't cover their costs,
Yeah.
so.
Stevens County has, at the Prime West meetings, keep us updated on what's going on because they have such a problem there. They have 2 different ambulance providers. And if 2 show up and one doesn't, one transferred and one doesn't, the one that doesn't transfer doesn't get paid a dime. Was that part of the discussion at all, or is North Memorial the only one that shows?
Well, whoever shows up is the one that gets paid. That was discussed.
Yeah, but if others come because they get the call and they think they're gonna be the one, or they talked about like a helicopter showing up and then
Oh, wow.
a vehicle, and then they don't have any reimbursement then.
They must have some dispatch problem there
Yeah.
or something.
There,
Yeah.
there shouldn't be a situation where multiples are responding.
I know, yeah, anyway,
There may be situations where multiples are called in, and then not needed, which would be different than competitively responding to a call. That's,
well,
because
and
that's not how that,
maybe I'm saying it incorrectly, maybe they are both responding,
If-
and,
they wouldn't be competitively responding to a call. They may have both been dispatched
Yeah.
to a call. If there's a motor vehicle accident, I mean, the capacity of an ambulance is 1. The capacity of a car is more than 1. So when you're uncertain that there's a multiple car and there's injuries, you would dispatch more than 1 resource. And then you get on scene and find out that, well, these people don't require transport. So that would be how that happened. It's not that 2 people heard the call and decided to go.
yeah, thank you
Just-
for that
just to clarify
clarification.
that,
Yeah, I appreciate
And
that.
and if they don't take a passenger and they respond and don't take a passenger, there is no payment. So that part is correct.
Then I had one other. It was the Dancing Sky Council on Aging, and there's one class that's coming up that some might be interested in. October 31st, there will be a webinar on aging and our vision. So that would be interesting to see how, as you age, it does affect your vision. And then that we received an update on a number of things. But one of them, we got Medicare updates. Person can go to min.gov/Senior Lincoln's line. Oh, and also, or to get these updates. But in 2025, a change that's going to make is a $2,000 cap on Part D for drugs. And then also Part D cannot grow any more than, or expensive, it can't grow any more than 6%. Oh yeah, rebates for drugs that rise above the inflation rate. And, yeah, that's about it. And then you would need to be enrolled in Part B, or Part D to see those changes. That's all I got on Dancing Sky.
Thanks, Tom.
Right, I just had a couple meetings. One was Safe Routes to School in the city of LaPorte. It was kind of the kickoff meeting, so it was just kind of a meet and get to know the other people involved with the group, and then some of the larger picture items that want to be addressed by the school and the students' needs. So there'll be another meeting probably in another month, and then it'll just continue on until we develop a plan. So hopefully by I think it was next February was their target date for having a plan, and then moving forward with implementing that plan through HRDC and some grant dollars there. At a Transportation Advisory Council with HRDC, it was interesting. There were quite a few counties represented there, and MnDOT was there. I was a little hard on some of the MnDOT staff for some of their projects and the scope, and just the lack of engagement with the community and really taking their community's interests at heart, and making sure that the community's happy. And what I don't really care for is the way they'll come in, they'll do all these infrastructure changes, but the cities have to participate with cost sharing. And you take the city of Akeley, for example, you know, they're paying for lighting and paying for these things and trees, and they really didn't want to get involved with all of that, but yet they have to pay. So it's just kind of disappointing to see that I don't think the organization really takes what they say to heart and includes everything in there. And really, that's it, besides the ambulance service. And yeah.
Okay, thank you, Steve. I just have one thing. We had a hubby meeting last Friday. And when I was going through the board packet ahead of time, the auditor for Mahubi, however you say it, they said there was enough checks and balances in place to make the following change. And so prior, anything, the executive director could approve a bill up to $25,000, and then over $25,000, it took executive director approval plus the board of directors. The auditors wanted to change that so the executive director would have approval for bills up to $100,000, and then the board of directors would have to approve thing over $100,000. I had a real problem with this. So after we had board discussion, I could understand it better, but there's 3 other commissioners on this board besides me, and we were all really leery. But to explain it, Liz explained it with the weatherization program. They could have multiple projects going, and at the end of the month, they might get a bill anywhere from $30,000 to $50,000. So this was budgeted expenses that they were at. The auditor suggested that she would have approval for. At the end of the discussion, we voted that she would continue to have approval to $25,000. Anything from $25,000 to $50,000 would require executive director approval and the executive board of directors. And then those expenses would be listed separate at the next board meeting, so we wouldn't delay payment. And then the executive directors, or the board of directors, excuse me, anything over $50,000. So anyway, it was good discussion.
So the executive board then weighs in from the.
They do, and so if that comes up, that would be an email vote, and then
Okay.
they would just vote on behalf of the board, and then we would be told.
I think that's okay. I mean.
Yeah, we did too.
You've got
And
more
expe-
than one set of eyes looking at it.
Right, and then especially when Liz explained it's a budgeted item, it's just that billing comes through at a larger. So, other than that, that was about it. When we had our District 2 meeting yesterday, just a reminder, we're supposed to make sure that all commissioners possible attend the District 2 meeting on October 16th. It's from 8 to 12. Yeah, I do too. I don't know if the rest of you can come or not, but, okay, great. Okay, anything else, Jeff? Or anybody else?
Motion to adjourn?
All right, Ted, is there a second?
Sure.
Okay, Dave seconds, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, motion carries. Thank you.